See, I think people need to go back to understanding how powerful God is. See, if you go around talking about you can bind the enemy and bind this and bind that, you don't realize, but you're reducing God. You're lessening the power of God. Although you can't really, but this is what essentially you're doing. Because Jesus has said, I will lose none. See, when you're saved, salvation cannot be taken away. Like the devil cannot come and bind you because you're with God. God will lose none. You understand? So for you to start thinking, oh, that's wrong, now I'm binded, or Christians can be binded. So that means you don't believe salvation is forever. You don't believe that God will keep you away from harm, from the enemy taking you, snatching you. Jesus says none will get snatched away. So if you believe people can be bound, then you're saying Jesus is weaker. But then the fact you believe you can bind the enemy, that means you're more powerful than Jesus. You can set yourself free. Jesus already set you free. And then if we go further than that, if you could bind the enemy, why would you need to bind him tomorrow? Why are you binding them 10 years later? Why have you been years and years saying these same prayers about binding the enemy, but yet you still feel like you're captured by the enemy? Like, we need to think about what we're actually saying and understand the power of God. Like, you cannot lose your salvation. Who the Son sets free is free indeed. Like, God is up here, you're up here. We don't have this power to be binding enemy. Only part in the Bible is that Revelations, where it says the enemy will be bounded, and it's God doing the binding. This is when we see the binding. Even later on, when we see demons have bounded people, when they were set free, that enemy wasn't bounded. When James says resist the devil, it's not resist and he'll be bound, he will flee. It's not that he'll be bound, he will flee. We have to understand, like, Jesus is up here. He has set us free. He will not let us be snatched. We cannot then be bound by the enemy as Christians, so we don't need to try and bind the enemy. Jesus is doing the work, done the work. Holy Spirit is keeping us. We are sealed and protected.